For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to StratNewsGlobal. I'm Nitin Gokhale. On a day when the tension in the Taiwan Straits has risen exponentially following the arrival of US Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her delegation to Taipei last night, Taipei time, of course, Taiwan time, there is considerable attention at what China, the People's Republic of China, could do and how it will respond to what it calls provocation and what Taiwan calls its right to receive any visitor. We are just less than 24 hours after Nancy Pelosi landed in Taipei, and the ongoing situation is something that all the strategic community members as well as foreign policy advisors and the media are watching very closely to discuss the situation and what next in the relationship between the US and the PRC, and what would Taiwan face as a consequence of defying the threats and the warnings from PRC is something that we're going to discuss. And to discuss that, I am joined by Dr. Lai Yi Chung, who's the president of the Prospect Foundation in Taiwan. He's joining me from Taipei, and he's someone who watches this situation very closely. So welcome to this program, Doctor. It's our pleasure and privilege that you've agreed to speak to us.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. Thank you.
So first up, what's the situation like? What do you see and what do you hear after Nancy Pelosi has landed in Taipei, and what is it that the People's Republic of China military is trying to do?
I think the Nancy Pelosi, despite all the objection from the PRC, continue on her journey to Taiwan and landed in Taiwan yesterday, last night, and then she continued her visit to Taiwan today unprohibited, and continue her schedule. And right now, as we speak, she's about to land the plane and going for her next destination, which is the South Korea. So in Taiwan, the Nancy Pelosi has been widely popular, and the people congratulate her, and all the messages in the social media full of the how people appreciate the Nancy Pelosi's courage and her insistence on the supporting the human rights and democracy. So generally the Taiwanese public feel so encouraged and welcome the Nancy Pelosi's visit. On the other hand, it is China, PRC, they object to the Nancy Pelosi's visit, and they decided to escalate the tension. So we started to see that, first of all, yesterday China announced, I think, the more than 100 items of the sanction against Taiwan to prevent Taiwan's export to China. Mostly they are those cookies and cakes of Taiwanese made export to China. And then second, China, following that, China started to announce that China will have a live fire exercises in 6 restricted areas, which are very close to Taiwan. So if we look, since we're looking at a map about those 6 restricted areas that close to Taiwan, in which China claimed to will have its live fire exercises starting tomorrow for 3 days. Those 6 restricted zones are very close to Taiwan. Even some of them already cut into the Taiwan territorial waters. So that we see that as a major escalations. And we compare with what China did last time in 1996 Taiwan Strait crisis. At that time, that the Chinese military exercise or the missile drill zone are more further away from Taiwan than this time. So this is a major escalation by Chinese military, and for the next 3 days. And the third is that we also noticed that the China, through its state-sponsored cyber operation campaign against Taiwan. So yesterday, about around 5:15 p.m., the presidential office has been under the DDoS attack by China, and then but Taiwan was able to resume and neutralize the threat in 20 minutes. And then last night, it is Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs website has been hacked by China. And of course, they have been resumed back to their normal operations within probably tens of some minutes. And this morning, we also noticed that there are several Taiwan's public infrastructures stations. Their billboard has been hacked by China by displacing the some of the pro-China and anti-Nancy Pelosi's message. But of course, those are also been neutralized later on. But basically, what we saw is that starting from the economic sanction to prevent Taiwan's export to China, and then to the announcement about the military exercise close to Taiwan, and the cyber operations by China. So we are witnessing the firsthand about what China, not only about its show of displeasure about its visit, but also what China might want to do against Taiwan later on, should the something very serious that's about to happen. But I have to say that despite with all those activities and the announcement of the military exercise zone by China and starting tomorrow, we do not observe a major military movement across the Taiwan Straits. So that probably this live exercises, it could be as loose as like in 72 hours, China probably fire 1 or 2 missiles dropping in those areas, or they could also be as intense as China dispatch the sea vessels into those areas and conduct a live fire drill there. So it could be as loose and it could be very intensified. So that really depends on how that China wanted to do. But right now, I have to say that we do notice that the Chinese 2 aircraft carrier left the home port. And the future destination, people assume that probably it's heading toward Taiwan proper. Would they be part of the live exercises, the vessels? We do not know. And we do not see that the China announced to the whole world that China decided to launch missiles and drop in those areas. So that we are still watching how this will develop.
But like you said, which is very heartening to supporters of democracy and the people who know how China can be a bully, that the people in Taiwan have welcomed Nancy Pelosi's visit and her decision to come to Taiwan despite all the objections by China. But going forward, when you look back, do you think all the threats that were issued by PRC, by its military, have stopped short of real kinetic war, or even a prospect of some kind of an invasion or seizing an outlying island in Taiwan to show it really meant business? I think the world over, the sense is that China has not been able to carry out the threats or the large kind of rhetoric that was being put out in the past 48 hours or so. So do you think it's kind of a setback for the PRC and its leader, President Xi Jinping?
I will say that for the Chinese military preparation against Taiwan, whether that's for the full-scale operation or even in the medium term of scale, trying to seize some offshore islands, I do not think that China right now possess that kind of capabilities. And according to all the military movement that we observe right now, that there's no indication that China is moving in that directions. So that the kind of the military exercise zone and trying to restrict the movement by Taiwan or by other countries in those areas, there seems to be an exercise about the semi-blockade by China. And so that the one parameter to watch is that will China continue this exercise and after the 72 hours they announced? If that is the case, then we probably will face something that's more serious than what we anticipate before. On the other hand, and about the Chinese actions and how they are unable to stop the Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. I think definitely that means a slap in the face, or that's degrading about the so-called deterrence capabilities or credibilities against other nations. Should other nation decided to go its own way, irrespective of the Chinese coercions. So that this visit not only is a big boost for the morale for Taiwan, for our stick with democracy, but also as the direct show to the whole world that as long as you are able to stick with your guts and continue with your determinations, that the China can only do so much. So that we understand that the China right now, due to the kind of loss of faith, they need to do something in order to recover what they believe that they lost credibility. So we understand that. But the issue right now is that how China will do after like the first 72 hours they wanted to do against Taiwan for those military exercises. And that is the thing that we are watching.
Oh, indeed. In fact, that is one of the things that we are watching here in India. As you are aware, Professor, that India and China have been involved in a very tense standoff, a large number of troops facing each other in the high altitude areas of the Himalayas in Ladakh. The thing that we watch here is, will China carry out its threat? And from what we now see happening across the Taiwan Strait, it is right now only one of those live fire drill exercises, and of course the sanctions, economic sanctions that have been imposed on some of the items. But what does it, and I repeat my question here, what does it do to the prospect of Xi Jinping's unrestricted, unbridled power that he wants to wield and have an unprecedented third term in October or post-October 2022? Does this damage his credibility? Does this dent his image as a strong man in control of the situation in China?
I think the nature of the Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan is that this is not the first time about the U.S. House speakers to visit Taiwan. 25 years ago, Newt Gingrich, then the Speaker of the House, also visited Taiwan. So that you could say that the Nancy Pelosi is not the first time for the House Speaker to visit Taiwan. And also, from last experience about the Newt Gingrich visit to Taiwan, the United States did not change its own one China policy. The United States did not change and whatever things that China deemed to be very sensitive. So that it really depends on how China would like to read. If China decided that this is decided to have a major escalations and risking even try to take some adventurous actions, risking the escalation that could probably could go to higher levels, then what this decision actually revealed to us are about the two things within China. First, either the Xi Jinping himself or the China themselves, they are hugely miscalculated about their influence on the United States as well as on other countries, especially in Asia and in Taiwan. So that the Xi Jinping and the China earlier believed if for all the threat they put out, the United States would just restrain itself by about this visit. But the Nancy Pelosi continued to do this anyway, so that either that the Xi Jinping or the China one miscalculate the things, or another reason is that the Xi Jinping is actually not as the politically stable to continue his third term as people expected it, so that he's more suspected to the pressure inside about whether he is will be seen as a weak toward the so-called outside pressure, and so that Xi Jinping needs to come up with something that is stronger, that is more intensive and harsher in order to respond to the domestic criticisms. If this is the latter, then that tells us a very different picture regarding the Chinese domestic politics. Was Xi Jinping really that secure in terms of his grip on power? Is Xi Jinping his third terms really the kind of the ultimate leader that the people would anticipated. If it proves that this latter scenario is the one that decided that Xi Jinping wanted to escalate the tension on Taiwan, then we have to reassess about what the future of China could be, and also the future of Chinese action toward the external world could be.
So that gives us an idea that India needs to be on its guard too, given the fact that what he couldn't achieve in Taiwan or may not be able to achieve in Taiwan after 72 hours, the other prospect of achieving something as a diversionary tactics aimed at the domestic audience could be aimed at India. Have you been watching or analyzing or even thinking of what's happening between India and China? If at all, if you're doing that, what's your view?
I think yes, the India and China the border standoff is something that we in Taiwan also watch very closely. The 20th the June, the bloody skirmish, especially the sneak attack by China, also got us a little bit surprised that the China really wanted to do that. And so the issue at that time was that is that deliberate by China trying to escalate the tension, or this is some of the rogue generals, their own actions, or the general has been under the pressure that he felt he needs to perform, otherwise the Xi Jinping would not upgrade him. And it seems that the China at that time believed that the COVID-19 and the Western world was under the siege about this virus, gave China the opportunity to exercise its pressure and influence over and outside. And the pressure on India and the escalation about the skirmish seems to fade into the pattern that China at that time wanted to push forward. Because not only the China exercised have this skirmish against India on May and June, but China at that time also put its fleet way over to the South China Sea, and also had some skirmish against Vietnam, and the Chinese harassment against Japan in the Senkaku Island area also intensified. So it seems like a general pattern China wanted to push forward, but unfortunately that India at that time that experienced the bloody and the casualty. However, other countries haven't really reached that far. So that's I think there's a tendency for the Xi Jinping wanting to just push forward as much as possible. And he believed that the compromises or the restraint by the outside indicates that those countries, they are weak and acknowledging Chinese strengths. So that we have to be careful about our action, what this action might fit into the reading within China, and how the compromises by us trying to restrain and to de-escalate tension might be read by China as a show of weakness.
True. So we will keep watching that situation on the border and the standoff, which continues 2 years later. So just expanding on the entire situation right now, and just final question on this: what do you think is now the main fallout of the tension which has manifested itself in the last 24 hours in the larger sense in Asia, where China, especially in Southeast Asia, in the ASEAN countries, China has been trying to be much more influential and trying to control a lot of activities there. Would this also embolden some of the countries in Southeast Asia to defy China? And has that meant, or will that mean that China has to now reassess its policies in Asia as well as its relationship with the United States?
I think definitely the way that China escalated the tension against Taiwan, especially China did that after Pelosi's depart Taiwan. So to a certain extent, you can see that this also showed up the Chinese weakness, that they acknowledge they cannot fight against the United States. So that rather than confront the Pelosi and the United States head on, they decided to wait until the Pelosi's leave Taiwan, and that they wanted to exercise the pressure on Taiwan. So that when we compare with this action with what China did with Southeast Asia, I think definitely there's a political message China wants to send through their action on Taiwan. That is the four Southeast Asia countries. Should you want to do something that China objected, whether that's you're with the United States or with other countries, then the action on Taiwan and what Taiwan received, you could be the next. I think definitely the China has this hidden political message in mind in the issue about Southeast Asia. Also, another interesting development is that Nancy Pelosi, after she departed Taiwan, her next stop is to South Korea. But interesting enough, currently the South Korea president, for some very obscure reasons, decided not to meet with Nancy Pelosi. And they said that the South Korea they have to go to vacations and to get the skin have a good suntan, and he has to obey that tradition. I do not know what kind of the strange excuse is this, but it seems that the China and also probably pressure South Korea that since China already labeled the Nancy Pelosi, the one that is the bad, or even some call her bitch, and the China definitely will see anyone meeting with her as violating Chinese wish. So I believe that the Chinese also put the pressure on South Korea. But it's unfortunate that the president of South Korea right at this time decided that for some other reasons not to meet with the Nancy Pelosi, a wonderful lady and a very big human rights fighter.
Well, that's South Korea is really has to answer to its people why they are not supported or not meeting Nancy Pelosi. But Taiwan has shown considerable courage and determination in meeting the China threat. For the moment, we do not know what will happen next. But in one sense, I think the landmark event, one would call it, after 25 years, when the Speaker of the US has landed in Taiwan, has given us a glimpse of what could be and what could be Chinese strategy going forward. In that aspect, I think Taiwan would have learned a lot of lessons, and everybody else around the world is watching how China reacts to pressure. Despite the rhetoric, it is not able to carry out what it wanted to, or what it continues to threaten many of these countries. So thank you very much, Professor, for joining us from Taipei and giving us an insight. And kudos to the people of Taiwan, as well as the government of Taiwan, for withstanding the pressure, as well as continuing to withhold the prospects of reunification, or resist the reunification that the PRC wants. At this moment, I think I'll have to end this program, but congratulations once again. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the support of Taiwan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we had this guest from Taiwan straight giving us what the Taiwanese feel and how they have faced the prospect of a Chinese aggression from across the strait, and how they have withstood that pressure. The jury is still out whether this is a defeat for the Chinese president Xi Jinping, who couldn't really do anything beyond the rhetoric, as well as some token actions of sanctioning some of the products, or preventing some of the products from Taiwan to be sold in PRC, the People's Republic of China, and holding some exercises close to Taiwan to show strength and try and coerce Taiwan into listening to PRC. But beyond that, he hasn't been able to really prevent Nancy Pelosi from visiting Taiwan. And that's the lesson that everyone around the world will take. You know where to reach us. Please give us your feedback. Your comments are welcome. You know our social media handles, and do keep subscribing, or at least tell your friends, family, and acquaintances to subscribe to our YouTube channel, so that we keep getting bigger numbers, as well as we reach to a bigger audience as we discuss important issues around the world in the foreign policy and strategic issue space. For the moment, it's goodbye.